you're working, follow along to make sure that you got these patterns done correctly. So let's take a look. Remember that I said on your quiz, the thing that I added would be the equator to help you line that up better. So I'm going to put an equator on this map right here. How many major oceans did we learn currents from? On your map, which two oceans, let's start over. Which two oceans do you have gyres in on your
Atlantic and Pacific.
Okay, so how many gyres, Libby, are in the Pacific Ocean? Where is it? Show me the Pacific Ocean. There. Right. So if that's the Pacific, how many circles do you have? Two. You have two. So on this map, this one looks different than your map, doesn't it? So the Pacific is here in this map. And so our two gyres are going to be south and north. And then how many do we have in the Atlantic, Ash? How many gyres, how many circles?
One.
In the Atlantic. Show me your Atlantic.
Wait.
Right.
Oh, we have two over here.
Right. So there's another pattern, right? You have one north, one south, one north, one south. So if we first just put on our
Two
circles
pairs. Two pairs.
like this, right, exactly right, two pairs. So the first thing that you have to remember is whether the Coriolis effect causes bending to the right or the left in each hemisphere. So right or left in the northern hemisphere, Maurice?
Right.
Right, that's exactly correct. So if we're bending to the right, that's what tells us if we're going clockwise or counterclockwise. The only way to turn right is to go clockwise. So that means we're going to be going like this in the northern hemisphere, clockwise in the northern hemisphere, because of the Coriolis effect. So then we have to decide what makes it warm or cold. What makes it warm or cold, Candy?
Say.
That's exactly right. If it's coming from the equator, it's going to be warm water. And if it's flowing from high latitudes towards the equator, it's going to be cold water, colder water. So if we put in the colors, we get this and that. And the same is going to be true in the other north gyre. Arturo, what direction will it be bending in the southern hemisphere? Left or right? Because of the Coriolis effect. Okay, left, and so we get counterclockwise in the southern hemisphere. So the only, and the same warm, cold. So we're going to have this and that, and we can go ahead and put in the Pacific gyres, and we're going to have the same thing again. We're going to turn right. So we have this one and this one. That one's a little squished, but it's good. And this one and that one. So, Kayla, take a look at that. Is there anything that doesn't look like it matches? How many patterns can you show? How many patterns can you pick out? So if we look at this, you guys, when you put your arrows on for your quiz, I want you to put your arrows on first, not your names on first. And I want you to put your arrows on and then color them and then put the arrow tips. So which kind of things are you going to remember to get this right? So what, do you see any patterns in what we drew up there? Any things that match, that don't match?
One of them do not match the California.
Warm.
Cool.
Oh, it goes in and out. Right.
Okay. So we have the warm currents on the east side of the continents, the right side of the continent. So look, we have these two, Maurice, maybe, we have these two continents with warm currents on the east side. We have continents here with warm currents on the east side. And then the cold currents are on the other side, always. Or you can look at the circles, yeah, here.
You got that one wrong.
Which one? This one?
No, the
Perfect. So this one, why do we know that this one's wrong?
Because it has cold water coming from.
Go ahead.
They're
Yeah.
both going like towards each other.
So which one, but why do you know this is the one that's wrong?
Because it should be going.
Why?
Because of the
Because it's
pattern
going
going.
clockwise.
It's supposed to go
Okay,
clockwise.
so you can't have, this is the other half of this one. They can't go in opposite directions, and there's something else wrong with this picture. It has to be, coming from high latitude to be cold, right? So if it's cold, and we said the cold part was right, because that's the pattern. So does anyone else see another pattern? We've got, warm currents on east coast, cold currents on west coast. Any other pattern? What about direction?
Oh, clockwise and counter.
Clockwise and counterclockwise where?
Clockwise in the northern and then
There you go.
counterclockwise.
Clockwise in the northern hemisphere, counterclockwise in the southern hemisphere. Good. What about the tips of the arrows and the tails of the arrows? Do you notice any pattern about tips and tails of arrows? Go in and out. Do you see that? You never have the tip of one arrow. That's the mistake the ladies discovered right here. We had a tip of this arrow touching the tail of this arrow, and that's never right anywhere. Here you have tails together, tips together, tails together, tips together. Right? You guys see anything else? So the first thing I want you to do is get this pattern. That's 8 of your 11. Right? So we have 3 extra ones to add on, and they follow the same temperature pattern. So Hallie, 1 second, sweetie. Hallie was absent, so we're catching her up real quick. You remember a long time ago we learned the C's and we had the Labrador C? So that one was, we put the Labrador current in now, and since it's going through the Labrador Sea right here, if it's coming from a high latitude and going south, is that going to be cold or warm? If it's coming from a high latitude and going towards the equator, cold. So there's your Labrador. Okay. You're going up. Okay. Yes. Okay, so far are you with me? Okay. You guys, the 2 other extras, in the video that we watched about plastic. You guys ready? Thank you. So, you remember the video we watched? The plastic trash video? They said that the little toys would have gotten caught in the loop of the Alaskan current. So we only drew half of the Alaskan current. We're calling this part, that's the part that we're labeling, but there is a whole loop there. But there's the Alaskan. Ash, why did I make that red?
Because it's coming. Because it's warmer.
What makes it warmer? You were right, coming from where?
Coming from the equator.
Right. It's coming from closer to the equator and moving farther away. And our last one, we're putting the Antarctic circumpolar just like that. Okay? The last thing we need to do is make sure we don't forget the names. What's the closest current to us? Seamus. What's our closest current?
The Gulf Stream.
The Gulf Stream. Let's put that on there. Now you guys have to be able to recognize all your continents. So here's the Gulf Stream. And what did we call Arturo? Yes, I'm sorry. I think I forgot to answer a question for you. Yes, sir.
So
Wait, we're not there yet, but we'll get there.
say
Yeah, you guys don't let me forget. We want to talk about those, but let's get the rest of our currents on here and we'll go back. Kayla, what's the matching current to the Gulf Stream? The canary? How are we going to remember the canary? Do you remember, Chloe? Remember we talked about, what's a canary? Remember what a canary is? Right? Right, it's a bird. So we just said, because we don't have any other little thing to remember, we were gonna say that everybody likes a cute little yellow bird, right? So that's our other, our other home current. So the Gulf Stream and the Canary. Seamus, head up, honey. Head up. Diana, what's this country?
Oh, Brazil.
Brazil, so this is the Brazil current. Ladies. We're about to take a